My name is Jason Wells, and I am a geek for the Dead Sea Scrolls. I first read them when I was in seminary and found a captivating world of ancient secrets that have been discovered and brought to life with all of the intrigue and adventure of an Indiana Jones movie brought into real life. Often we try to sensationalize them in History Channel documentaries about space aliens, but the real story is much better. Back in 1947, these two shepherds, the ones with the sweet mustaches, were throwing rocks into caves by the Dead Sea one day when they were bored. And one of them heard a pottery jar crack when he was in there. He went and found 10 clay jars. In the clay jars were 7 ancient scrolls. A shepherd has no use for scrolls, so he went and hawked them to this antiquities dealer, a guy named Kando. Unfortunately, Kando didn't know what he had. He couldn't read Hebrew. So he thought he had something in the Syriac language, so he took it to the Syriac monastery in Jerusalem and sold ancient priceless scrolls to this bishop for about $100. This was the same year in 47 that the state of Israel took over from the British mandate in Palestine. And this professor, Sukenik, was worried that in the unrest and violence he knew was coming, that the scrolls would be lost or destroyed. He bought 3 of them from the bishop. The other 4 the bishop illegally smuggled to New York and tried to sell them with an ad in the Wall Street Journal. By complete chance, the professor's son was in New York City at the time, saw the ad, bought them, and brought them back to Jerusalem. And right as this research was going on, there was an archaeological site just a couple of miles from the caves, and they found pottery there that matched completely the pottery that was in the caves. And they have this site where the scrolls came from. This is where the people lived. There are living rooms, kitchens, libraries, worship spaces, cisterns, all sorts of things where these people lived around the turn of the BC AD. 2 scrolls were copies, complete copies of the biblical book of Isaiah. Because it was written down before Christianity or Islam, we know they were certainly Jewish people who lived in this compound. There was a scroll of thanksgiving hymns to God, filled lyrics, poems, filled with completely unique works, metaphors of God as a pregnant woman, metaphors of God as a nursing father. There was a copy of the book of Genesis that was rewritten completely. It focused on Noah as its starting point rather than Adam and Eve. So the people who were here were Jewish, but they were unorthodox. They had their own version of the Bible. There's another scroll, the Manual of Discipline, which is the rules for the community, for the people who are living in this compound. They were ruled by a person who called himself the teacher of righteousness. And he had rules for every occasion and harsh punishments for anyone who didn't obey. They considered themselves to be the sons of light. They were in spiritual battle, creating as they saw it, a purified Judaism to do battle against spiritual darkness. That battle they actually wrote down in great detail, a scroll about the apocalypse, a huge, lengthy battle of the sons of light and the angels of light against the angels of darkness and their prince Belial. Another piece of unorthodox thinking that they were going through. And the final scroll was a commentary on the biblical book of Habakkuk, written by the righteous teacher. He thinks he has a secret code that he can read the scriptures through. Unsurprisingly, it's all about himself and his battle with the high priest in Jerusalem. So his interpretation, he writes out the intrigue of his fight with the high priest and he and his followers being exiled and kicked out of the temple and sent out to the Dead Sea in exile. Unfortunately, all the preparations they made for spiritual battle, they were not at all prepared for real battle. In the year 70, the Roman army marched through the area and either slaughtered them or ran them off to other places and left the site in ruins. So those people who lived there, those unorthodox apocalyptic Jews, put their scrolls and their writings into jars, the jars into these 11 caves. There are thousands of fragments of scrolls, and there they sat for 2,000 years so that you and I could remember their legacy today.